Hello and welcome to Let's Unwrap, brought to you by Trio Production. I'm Terrific Tina, and this podcast is your go to source for the latest, juiciest tea from the entertainment industry. Each week, we'll dive into the hottest stories, behind the scene drama, and the trends that are making waves in music, film, TV, and much more. Today, we have a guest, a fellow WSSU alumni, so let's welcome Katera.
Hey y'all. My name's Katera. I'm a Virgo. I went to WSSU in 2017. Um, I'm from Charlotte and my major was poli sci. So I'm glad to be here.
Go Rams! We are excited to have you here, but let's get into it. Did you know today is a special episode of,
What do you mean a special episode?
well, y'all going to need to grab your favorite drink, sit back, and join us today because it is all about the women's.
Okay, I like that. Tell me more.
Two fun facts. In 2023, Impact of Women-Owned Businesses report estimates that 39.1% of all U.S. businesses are owned by women and 13.6% increase from 2019 to 2023. In 2021, 7% of Black women are either in the process of starting or already running a new business.
Well, think about it. The era we are in right now, women's are taking over entertainment businesses.
Okay. I understand that. Like the Beyoncé's and the Doechis and Megan Thee Stallion, and of course, producers on the back end. We always had the MC Lights and the Queen Latifahs. So I feel like women always took over the entertainment industry. Let's not even get into actresses.
Okay, love where you're going. So I have an important question. Do you think that women artists show more support to other upcoming artists than men?
Yes, I think that women have a well, I believe that sometimes women collab more easily than men. I feel like men have a lot more beef. However, in today's the world, thinking about 2024 and the past beefs that a lot of male rappers have had and how they be shooting and killing each other, I really think that women have a more cohesive way of operating together. And I really think more female rappers should collab and really show these men how to work together as a team, minus the beef. I mean, you might see a little chit chat on the internet, but these male rappers be in each other's lives over nonsense. Whereas the female rappers will just diss each other on a little beat and get up our business.
I think that could be possibly where you're going with that. I can agree with that, but I also you have to understand a lot of the women's back in the day had to stand for what they believe in, and sometimes they were viewed as feminists when they was just trying to make their points clear, simple. But back then, women's wasn't always treated equal. So I kind of get where you're going with that. So let's think about something else here as well on the topic to talk about things about upcoming movies that have came out with women led, like The Little Mermaid, The Color Purple, or even Issa Rae doing Insecure. About she took the opportunity to create her own production business, or she talked about favorite women artists or men who are even listening to women artists more than ever.
Yeah, so I think Issa Rae is doing a great job with showing like other black women how they could um step into a role and put on other black actresses. I remember watching Insecure and I'm seeing a lot of new faces that I haven't seen for men and women, honestly. But I feel like thinking about the female leads, I feel like back in the day, probably 30, 40 years ago, women, especially black women, were put in certain categories. And I learned this at WSSU about how women had different categories, such as the Jezebel stereotype, the Sapphire stereotype, where if they weren't overly sexual, they were sassy or they always fall behind a man in a movie. And thinking about nowadays, women have taken charge and leading their own stories, and it really has to do with women wanting to hear other women's stories and then providing a platform for other women to provide those stories.
So let me go ahead and see if I can piggyback on you a little bit. So women's have made remarkable strides across the entertainment industry, right? So what do you think are the key factors driving this shift, and how do you see this transformation impacting the industry future in terms of diversity, storytelling, and creative innovation?
Well, I would like to harp back on again women putting other women on. Um, I feel like that's a key factor in driving the shift. But at the end of the day, we can sit here and make our stories all we want. We can write as many stories as we want, print as many books as we want. However, once we it's hard to try to get that into a white audience. At the end of the day, most of these people that own these production companies, if we're talking about movies and films and TV, are white people. And I realized that some of our stories have to be dumbed down or have to be categorized and can't be as creative as they need to be, um, because it's trying to fit into a white audience. But
Right.
an example I would like to give is Moonlight. It is about two gay black men, but think about diversity and friendship and with gay men putting each other on. The director of that movie was a gay man. The book was written by a gay man, I believe. And just to see the diversity in character, the storytelling, how it showed like a coming of age story for a black man who became a drug dealer and how he had to handle, still having those gay feelings, even though he felt as though he probably dealt with them. And then just to find out that his partner was also in love with him, not his partner, but his best friend that he was in love with was in love with him so many years ago. Just that dynamic of that story really shows that, like, if we stick to our guns and if we pressure these film industries, if we pressure those empowered to actually tell our stories the way we want it to be told, it will make something phenomenal. Another great movie is I forgot the one with I forgot the one with what's her name? Not Keelan the Bee. What's her name? Kiki Palmer. But she was playing a gay black lady, and her mom and dad were on drugs and stuff, and she became a drug dealer, and she was in a relationship with a white lady, and her and that white lady went on bank heists and everything, and
Yeah.
then you know the movie I'm talking about. I can't
Yeah.
remember the name of it.
I do kind of remember what you're saying. And I mean, what a thought brought up to me was that I was thinking about how do you see women shaping the future of the music industry today? And the first thing came into my mind was I think about Mary J. Blige, right? And so I see how she changed history with music and everything. And so by her doing that, I saw where she took the fact that she was this big time R&B singer, then she has become this great actress, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then next thing you know, you saw her doing her own talk show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I see where the versatility has came about. So what do you think about that? How do you see women shaping the future of the music industry today?
Well, I believe we're starting to see it now in the 2020s, how women are just more collaborating with each other. How, one woman wins an award, she's shouting at other women. Also, in how some of the younger generation of rappers aren't really playing into the beefs of the older generation of rappers.
Mm-hmm.
And some do, and it's all about maturity at the end of the day. But I feel like if women were to stick together like how they used to, and if they continue to press forward like how they are today. For instance, I went to the Megan Thee Stallion concert recently, and she had a lot of female acts, including Glorilla, and to see like the love on the stage and how they really like operate with each other. It's all about love and promoting each other, making sure they both get to a bag. And I feel like if women, especially black women in particular, were to keep that up with the inclusion and not letting society force them into these forced beefs, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've probably seen how they be. Somebody might say something that's like, "Oh, she's talking about here, she's talking about this," and it's like, this rapper never said
Right,
this. You're
right,
starting beefs off of fumes,
right,
and if
right.
they negate all of that and just continue to work with each other and get to know each other as people and as business partners, I feel like female rap and females in the industry in general will take over.
Guess what? In 2023, 55 women of color received songwriting credits, which is an increase from 2022 and 2012. The USC Annenberg research state, not to mention, the highest percentage of black women executives, 5.3%, was found in labels, as per USC Annenberg. In contrast, black women comprised only 1.4% of radio executives and 1.7% of live music executives.
I got you. So in other words, just to recap what you were saying, that what challenges do women still face in the entertainment industry, and how many or how can they be overcome? So, you have any feedback for that?
Yes, I think it harks back to what I was talking about, the forced social beefs. I feel like when it comes to black women, there's not really, how do I say, we have such a negative stereotype of us
Right,
always fighting with
right,
each other.
absolutely.
And the fact that you have these women that come in and collabing with each other, it's like people are forcing the beefs. Like, yo,
Mm.
y'all ain't supposed to work together. Y'all supposed to fight each other. What is this teamwork on? Y'all ain't supposed to love each other. And I feel like if that is the main problem, is that the media will feed into beefs that aren't even there, or make stuff up. But I also feel like some women, like Nicki Minaj, her little hate train, she be crazy. She be on what she be on.
But do you think that possibly maybe Cardi B had some, feelings prior to that? It just probably escalated. Maybe Cardi B felt that she should have reached her hand back to help her come up, because Nicki was on much longer than Cardi B. And you got to think about the beefs they had, and their beefs was so petty and trivial, but it didn't help any. It kind of just came off as a negative impact, right? So
Right.
so what do you think they could have done differently about it?
I feel as though Nicki being her senior, and I followed Cardi B for a long time, was watching a lot of hip hop and stuff. And when she was younger, she was definitely a messy lady. And I'm not gonna say she's not messy now. Look at her marriage; it's all over the world. But I feel like Nicki being an older woman should have had those private conversations with Cardi B, because Cardi B wasn't having those conversations with Nicki Minaj until things were said about. Oh, what I'm trying to say is Cardi B wasn't having those conversations with Nicki Minaj until Nicki Minaj had said something about her first publicly. And I feel like if all that can be handled behind the scenes, and if they just would have talked it out as two women from the Caribbean that have grinded from their childhood, they could have probably got a lot of stuff resolved. But I also feel like with Nicki Minaj coming out with Kendrick Lamar about him calling him a house N-word because he wanted to be, he got chosen to do the Super Bowl. I'm like, I feel like Miss Nicki has some problems, and that the maturity is not there because other things are inhabiting that mind.
Gotcha.
But if they were all in a sound mind and sound way, that could have been a conversation had in the background.
I got you. Okay, girl. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything you like to share with our listeners?
I'm from Charlotte. I'm making it 704 known.
And you still got love for us Rams, right?
Sure do.
Rams,
yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Well, I am so glad. And I'd like to thank you so much for joining me in this discussion. And we love some Western girlies.
In our next episode, we'll take a nostalgic trip back to your childhood, revisiting those beloved TV shows and movies that shaped our early years.